Imagine this. You're sitting in Paris. The lights are low, cameras flashing everywhere, a crowd full of excited fans and flashing smiles. The red carpet's buzzing. Everyone's waiting for Johnny Depp to appear. He walks in, cool, confident, and calm as always. But then something unexpected happens. He opens his mouth and starts speaking fluent French. Wait, what? Johnny Depp. Speaking French? Yep, that really happened. And the audience? Totally stunned. If you've been following the ups and downs around Johnny lately, you're definitely not alone. From legal battles to movie comebacks to all the talk about his private life, it's been a wild ride. But this time it's not about drama. It's about reinvention. So today we're going to talk about that shocking Paris moment when Johnny Depp surprised everyone by speaking in French. We'll break down how it happened, why it matters, and what it tells us about the new direction his career might be taking. And trust me, there's more behind this story than meets the eye. Stick around because by the end, you might see Johnny Depp in a completely new light. Let's start with the moment that stopped the room. Picture it. Johnny walks up to the microphone, ready to greet the crowd. Everyone expects the usual Hollywood-style speech, maybe a few polite words in English, a thank you, a smile, and done. But instead, he looks out over the audience, gives that small smirk of his, and says something entirely in French. Perfect pronunciation. Smooth delivery. You can almost hear the collective gasp. For a second, no one quite knows how to react. Then applause, cheers, whispers ripple through the crowd. People are grabbing their phones, posting, tweeting. Did Johnny Depp just speak French? It's not something we see every day. Let's be honest, most celebrities don't switch languages in front of a foreign audience, especially not one as tricky as French. But for Johnny, this wasn't just a random decision. It actually made a lot of sense once you look at the bigger picture. See, Johnny's connection to France runs deep. He's lived there, he's loved there, and he's worked there. He has a long history with the country, its culture, its people, and of course, its film scene. His fan base in France is massive. And remember, he even starred in a French film called Jeanne du Barry, where he played King Louis XV. Yep, a full-on historical role in French. Not English. Not dubbed. Real spoken French dialogue. That movie alone shows just how serious he's gotten about this part of his career. So when he took that stage in Paris and spoke French, it wasn't just a publicity stunt or a random show of skill. It was more like a nod, a way of saying, I belong here too. It showed that he wasn't just a Hollywood outsider visiting Europe. He was part of the culture now. Now let's talk about how people reacted. The crowd was shocked, but in a good way. There was admiration, surprise, and yes, a little confusion too. Fans online couldn't stop talking about it. Some said, wow, he's speaking French so naturally. Others joked about trying to translate every word. French fans especially were proud. They loved seeing someone from Hollywood genuinely try to speak their language, and not in a fake or forced way, but with the internet being the internet. Of course, a few misconceptions started floating around. Some people assumed Johnny was bilingual from birth. They thought maybe he'd grown up speaking both English and French. But that's not true. He wasn't born fluent. He's actually said in interviews that his French is something he's learned over the years, something he's had to work on. In fact, he once joked that he understands more than I can speak. So, he's definitely not a native speaker, but he's put in the effort. That alone makes the moment even more impressive. It's one thing to read a script in another language, it's another to step in front of a live audience and speak it confidently. And here's what's really interesting. This wasn't just about showing off language skills. It was part of something bigger. If you think about Johnny's career lately, this feels like a shift, a deliberate move to redefine himself. After everything that's happened in the past few years, the intense legal battles, the endless headlines, the break from big Hollywood studios, it seems like Johnny's carving out a new path. He's leaning more into Europe, into art, into independent projects. Speaking French on that stage wasn't just about words, it was about identity. It was his way of saying, I'm not just a Hollywood actor. I'm global. I'm connected. I can move between worlds. There's something kind of poetic about it. Think about it. A man who spent decades being one of the biggest faces of American cinema, now reinventing himself as a European artist. Someone who plays by his own rules. It's almost like he's saying goodbye to one chapter and starting another. Now, as with any big celebrity moment, rumors started to swirl. You know how it goes? Some people were saying, oh, it's all for PR. He's just trying to win back fans. Others claimed he speaks French perfectly and that this was just normal for him. But here's the truth, it's neither extreme. He's not fluent like a native speaker, but he's definitely better than most. And no, it wasn't just a marketing stunt. He's been living in France for years, and his work there, like Jeanne du Barry, proves his connection runs deeper than publicity. So it's not about pretending. It's about expressing who he really is right now. And if we're being honest, this is something Johnny's always done well. He's never followed the script that Hollywood writes for its stars. He's always been a little mysterious, a little rebellious, always doing things in his own way. This moment in Paris, it fits him perfectly. It's unpredictable, sincere, and just a bit theatrical. The exact mix that's made him fascinating for decades. Let's look at some behind-the-scenes details, because they tell you a lot about how this came together. On the set of Jeanne du Barry, the filmmakers actually worked with Johnny to make sure his French dialogue fit him naturally. They minimized the really complex lines and focused more on his facial expressions, his emotions, his trademark style. That's smart, right? It allowed him to shine as an actor without having to sound like a native speaker. And the result? A performance that felt authentic and elegant, even in another language. During the Cannes Film Festival, when the movie premiered, Johnny made headlines not just for his role, but for something else he said. He told reporters, "The majority of what you've read is fantastically, horrifically written fiction." That one line says a lot about where his head's at. It's like he's tired of the noise, the gossip, the half-truths. He wants to focus on the art again. And speaking French, taking on new kinds of projects, it's all part of that. It's his quiet way of taking control of the narrative again, and honestly, who can blame him? After years of being at the center of public controversy, he's shifting gears. Instead of chasing blockbuster roles or Hollywood franchises, he's stepping into more artistic, international spaces. French cinema has always been more personal, more expressive, and that seems to fit the kind of work Johnny wants to do now. Now let's pause for a second and think about what this says about fame in general. We often see celebrities go through reinvention, especially after tough times. Some change their look, others switch genres, and some even change countries. But what Johnny's doing feels different. He's not running away from fame. He's reshaping it. He's taking his global reputation and giving it a new flavor, literally in another language. It also sends a message about resilience. Think about how easy it would have been for him to retreat, to disappear from the spotlight. But instead, he's showing up, learning, performing, and surprising everyone. That's not just a comeback, that's transformation. If you've ever tried to learn another language yourself, you know how vulnerable that feels. You make mistakes, you sound awkward, and sometimes people laugh. But you keep going because you care. Seeing someone as famous as Johnny Depp do that publicly, it's oddly relatable. It humanizes him. It reminds us that no matter how big a star someone is, they're still just a person trying to grow. That's what makes this story so interesting. It's not just celebrity gossip. It's about change, confidence, and reconnecting with art. And if you're wondering what's next, keep an eye on him. Because this isn't the last time we'll see Johnny Depp speaking French or showing up in European film projects. The success of Jeanne du Barry opened a door, and he seems ready to walk right through it. We might see more French-language roles, more international collaborations, maybe even more appearances in France or at European festivals. This could be the start of a whole new chapter for him. Here's a fun little insider perspective. A lot of actors who move to international cinema find that it changes their entire approach to acting. French filmmaking, for instance, tends to focus on subtle emotion, what's not said as much as what is. That kind of storytelling is perfect for someone like Johnny Depp, whose strength has always been in his expressions, his silence, and those tiny emotional shifts that say 1,000 words. So in a way, this new direction feels like a perfect fit. It's not about reinvention for the sake of PR. It's about returning to what made him an artist in the first place. When you watch that Paris moment now, with all that context, It feels completely different, doesn't it? It's no longer just about a Hollywood actor showing off a new skill or trying to charm an audience with a few foreign words. It's something deeper. It's Johnny Depp reclaims himself. You can feel it in the way he stands there, the calmness in his tone, and that quiet confidence that says more than any speech could. It's not performance, it's presence. He's not trying to impress anyone. There's no arrogance in the way he speaks, no attempt to steal attention. He's not chasing applause or headlines. Instead, he's connecting with the people in front of him, with the country that's become part of his story, and with the version of himself that he seems to have rediscovered after years of chaos. When he speaks French, it's not just about the language, it's about what it represents. It's about growth, change, healing. For years, Johnny Depp was defined by noise, tabloids, courtrooms, controversies. But in that Paris moment, everything else fades away. The cameras are still there, the lights are still bright, but there's this sense that he's no longer performing for anyone's approval. He's communicating on his own terms. It's like he's saying, I'm still here. I've evolved. I'm speaking to you as me, not as a character, not as a headline. That's what makes it so powerful. Speaking another language can be such a vulnerable act, especially in front of a crowd. Every syllable carries the possibility of mistake. But that's exactly what makes it authentic. You can see that he's not chasing perfection. He's chasing connection. And that's what art really is. Not flawless delivery, not polished perfection. It's honesty. It's courage. It's the willingness to show up as you are, to express something real, even when you could be judged for it. In a way, that brief French speech was symbolic of his entire career. Johnny Depp has always been an artist who steps into uncomfortable spaces, who takes risks that others might avoid. From his earliest film roles to the eccentric characters he's embodied, he's never chosen the safe route. And here he is again, decades later, doing something uncomfortable but meaningful. No costume, no script, no studio direction. Just a man speaking from the heart in another language. In a city that has given him a kind of refuge, it's also fascinating how language can reveal emotion in a new way. When he speaks French, his voice sounds softer, slower, more intentional. There's a certain tenderness there, a tone that feels almost poetic. Maybe it's because French has a musical quality, or maybe it's because he's careful with each word. Either way, it feels genuine. You sense that he's not just reciting memorized phrases, he's really feeling what he says. That authenticity is what makes the moment so unforgettable, and beyond the surface, it's a reflection of self-acceptance. After years of being analyzed, criticized, and misunderstood, he seems more at ease in his own skin. He's no longer trying to fit into Hollywood's mold or live up to public expectations. Instead, he's embracing the version of himself that feels right, an artist who's allowed to evolve, who can cross borders not just physically, but emotionally and creatively. When he speaks French in that moment, he's not just addressing a room full of people. He's talking to the world. He's saying, I've been through storms, but I'm still here. I'm growing. I'm open. I'm human. It's subtle, but it resonates deeply. The power comes not from the words themselves, but from the meaning behind them. Art isn't just something you create. It's something you live. And what Johnny did on that stage is exactly that, living art. He turned a simple act, a few sentences in another language, into a statement of resilience, transformation, and authenticity. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real. And maybe that's why the moment hit so hard for so many people. It reminded everyone watching that even in a world obsessed with image, there's nothing more magnetic than truth, and you can't help but respect that. Whether you're a longtime fan or just someone watching from the sidelines, you can sense that this is more than just words. It's a statement. So here's the question for you. What do you think about Johnny's move to speak French in Paris? Do you see it as a smart, authentic shift in his career? Or does it feel a bit calculated to you? Whatever you think, I'd love to hear it. Drop your thoughts down in the comments, and hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, you're definitely going to want to check out the next video. It's all about Johnny's French film Jeanne du Barry and how that project could completely reshape his future in the movie world. I'll leave the link in the description so you can watch it right after this. If you're into stories that go beyond the surface, the real, human side of celebrity life, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. That way you'll never miss the latest updates, insights, and moments that make Hollywood, well, human. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep watching for those little moments that remind us even the biggest stars can surprise us. Because who knows? The next time Johnny Depp steps onto a stage, he might just have a few more languages up his sleeve.